Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Green again, and today I'm going to take up the topic of how to describe a numerical univariate graph. This is what we were expecting in AP, okay? In AP tests, a lot of times they will actually give you things like this. They'll give you graphs, and they're going to be asking you to describe it, okay? So, looking at what you see here, I see three tests, A, B, and C, okay? And they're asking you here, what strikes you as the most distinctive difference between these three? And I'm hoping that you notice that in these histograms that are here, the center is moved off in different directions. It's moving in different ways there. I'm sorry. It's in different locations on all three of those graphs. So what you're talking about here is in the AP test, you need to say the data is centered and give a number. Okay? Discuss where the middle of the data falls. There's three types of central tendency that you can talk about. You can talk about the mean, the median, and the mode. It doesn't matter. You need to make certain you tell them the center as expressed by the mean is located here, or the center as expressed by the median is located here, and give some indication of where the center of that data is located. Okay? Now, looking at these three graphs, when you look at D, E, and F, what do you see here? Well, I see in this first one that the data seems to be really far spread out, and the middle one not so bad, and the third one is kind of compacted together there, right? Well, what we're talking about there is the spread. Discuss how the spread of the data is. This refers to the variability of the data. You can use range, standard deviation, IQR, any of those type of things. Interquartile range is what IQR is, by the way, guys. I'm saying that again. You can use any of those to discuss the variability of the data, how far it spreads out, okay? Now, looking at this data, you see how this one looks like it's more skewed this way and kind of tails off, and this one's skewed off to the right this direction. I guess it would help if I had my pointer going here. This one is skewed off this way to the left, and this one's skewed off to the right, and this one doesn't seem to be skewed at all. But that's what we're looking for in this information. It's what's the shape. It refers to that shape. Is it symmetrical? Is it uniform? Is it skewed? Or is it bimodal? We'll talk about this term right here a little bit later on. But I'm just letting you know those are some of the terms that you might want to use when you're talking about it. Okay? And then lastly, outliers, like these two numbers sitting way out here. As we talked about in the box and whisker graphs earlier, those little points that sit off to the edge of it. You need to talk about those outliers a little bit. Okay? So these are called unusual circumstances, outliers. If there's any gaps or if there's any clustering of the data, anything else unusual that you see when you're looking at the graph and you want to talk about, okay? So, what are we talking about? You must write your answers in reference to the specifics in the problem. So if it says it's measuring cancer patients, you have to use their terms. You must be using correct vocabulary, and you must use complete sentences. That's what they're looking for as an answer on the AP test when they ask you to evaluate a graph or evaluate it. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, when they're talking about sample size, there's no fixed hard rule about it. It depends upon how accurate you want your estimates to be. You can look at examples in the study sheet from 1.5 and quiz 1 and get some information there. So what have I been telling you? I've been telling you that I want you to do a very simple thing when you're asked to analyze a graph. I want you to cuss. That's right. I said I want you to cuss. I want you to give me the center. I want you to tell me anything unusual. I want you to tell me the spread, and I want you to tell me the shape. Those are the four things that you need to make certain that you're telling anyone when you're asked to describe it. And on the AP test, they recommend cuss a lot. Well, don't do it out loud, but give them all that information. Tell them the center. Tell them any unusual data. Tell them the shape. Tell them the spread of the information. That's what they're looking for in answers to their AP exam questions when they're asking you to evaluate a graph. Hopefully this helps you a little bit, and you can answer some of the questions that you'll see on the test with this.